Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the program today, some more reaction to the Supreme Court's decision on eminent domain. And are buildings now starting to go up instead of out? Enos has the rundown.
Kermit Waters is an attorney who represents property owners in eminent domain cases, and also Jeremy Aguero, an economist with Applied Analyst. Sam?
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Earlene, Forsythe, Ernie, Adler, and Paul Lamboley. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park. The resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
Corporations moving to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center require reliable power, fiber optic communication, and clean water sources. And yet, there's another amenity we're very proud of here at TRI, rail service. So far, we've built over 2 miles of railroad track, and another 3.6 is under construction. When companies need to transport freight, we're going to help them move it quickly and efficiently. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the largest industrial park in the world, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
As an employer, did you know you can be held liable for negligent hiring? A background screening by Employer Links can uncover criminal records, like alcohol and drug convictions. It can verify the applicant's education, driving records, and professional licenses. Employer Links can check civil records, registered sex offender records, and Social Security fraud. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? They do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers, welcome to the program Kermit Waters, who's one of the leading authorities on the subject of eminent domain in the Silver State. I want to read you just a quote here in reference to Washoe County's land grab by the Las Vegas Review-Journal editorial board. It said, the U.S. Supreme Court's execrable Kelo versus New London decision holding local governments can seize any property, no matter how prosperous, and turn it over to a different private owner so long as this is held to somehow benefit the amorphous local economy. Property rights are one of the main things governments are established to protect. In fact, Mr. Jefferson once said quite publicly, he warned the king that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, whereupon they did.
Mr. Waters, can you tell us the effect that the Supreme Court decision in Kelo versus London, where they perverted and bastardized public use to mean public benefit, has had on eminent domain?
Well, I guess you'd say it's embodied the government agencies to feel that they have no restraints on them anymore, to take whatever property they want to and turn it over to private industry to develop it, to raise a tax base. See, most of these agencies, these government cities and all, they don't have the nerve to raise taxes, but they can get in more money by redeveloping property and giving it to developments and their special interest groups and generate more income. They can take a Starbucks and wipe it out and put a higher use out there. They can put one of the higher hotels in there. They can put a casino in there. Generate more money. So instead of raising taxes, they can do it in this way.
Or they could wipe out a mom-and-pop hardware store.
Which they do all the time. Which they do all the time. And people whose lives get completely turned upside down by these actions. It's not fair. Okay. And it's not public use.
Okay, you're putting together an initiative petition. It's just about ready to go. What will this say?
It will actually put this monster back in the box and lock it up. It's going to say transferring real property, any property from one private person to another private person is not public use. It's going to provide for a jury trial on the issue of public use. It's going to stop it. I've got about 15 issues that are on the Property Owners Bill of Rights that I prepared in the committee that's put together. Don Jerez is chairing the committee. We have Richard Zeiser on the committee. We have Chick Heck, former Senator Chick Heck on it. We have Justice Springer on it, a former Justice Supreme Court Charlie Springer on it. We got many people back in it, and this is a nonpartisan issue.
Give us some of the abuses that have occurred.
Well, aside from the fact that they take your property, when you get around to just compensation, for example, they beat you up in all kinds of ways in court. They will use sometimes 10-year-old sales of comp sales. They will take if you bought property 10 years ago, they'll try to get it in evidence, and sometimes they get away with it. Or they say that you knew the project was coming when you bought the property. Well, maybe you read it in the paper, you went down to one of those highway meetings and signed in. They'll use that against you to say, well, when you bought the property, you knew the project was coming. Well, you go down, you have no idea where it's going. You see several alternatives, like in Vegas, they'll have a Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, and you've already put money down on a piece of property, for example, and you read in the newspaper that there's these projects coming. So you go down to the Highway Department or the Department of Transportation and you look at it to see if your property is affected, and you sign in. Well, once you sign in, and then later, but you still can't tell where it's going, but you've already put money up and you borrowed the money. So you go ahead with the deal thinking, well, they may not take it, or they may take it, and they may never do it. And then at court, they beat you up in front of the jury by saying, you bought it, when you bought it, you knew it was coming, and you asked for it. They do dozens of things like that to you.
Mr. Waters, another abuse that is often occurs in eminent domain cases, when you have somebody who wants to contest an eminent domain case, a lot of times they are threatened with having to pick up the legal fee of that local government. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay, here's how that works. They have a rule called offer of judgment. And so typically the offer, when they file a suit in court, if you don't accept their offer, which is usually extremely low, they file a suit in court and they make a deposit in court. And then what happens is that the offer and the deposit is usually quite low. And then to prove your case, you start having to do discovery, and you have to hire engineers, and you have to hire appraisers and sometimes architects, and to get all the facts in your case, particularly in a partial take case, to prove your value. Well, you spend sometimes $100,000 or $200,000, or in one case we spent $1 million and something in just out-of-pocket costs. Well, as you get close to trial, then they make an offer of judgment that's like 20 times or maybe 15 or 20 times higher than what they originally offered you. And then you have a choice then of either taking their offer or going to court, even though you think it's worth more. But if you lose, then they come back and try to tax you all these costs that they've spent in their attorney's fees. And that's how then you get just compensation at all. You don't even get close to it. You never get just compensation in these trials completely by the time you pay all your cost out of it. So it's not fair.
With your initiative petition, you have to get a huge amount of signatures to get this on the ballot. What kind of cost is involved in doing this, and where are you going to get the money from?
Well, we're hoping to raise the money. We're hoping to raise it from contributions from people, and we have to get about 85,000 signatures. We're going to try to get about twice that much, what we're going to try to do. But we're getting so much support, I don't think we're having trouble getting it. Is how much money is it going to cost? Who knows?
One quick question. I know you answered this the last time we were on the program, but just for somebody who may have missed this. Now, how does this apply when, government, the Regional Transportation Commission or whoever, needs to put a road in somewhere?
That's different. That's different. Roads are public use. Nobody disputes public use when it's a road, when it's a courthouse, where it's a jail. Those are not things. But some of these things they do are not public use.
It's public benefit. It's all to provide more tax revenue for the local government.
That's not public use. That's a government in the profit and trying to make money and raise their tax base. And people don't want to do that. They don't. No, I don't think anybody thinks it is except the ones that won't take the property.
And that's where we got to leave it. Kermit Waters, thanks for being here.
Sure.
When you get your initiative petition filed, we'll put it up on the website. Thank you very much, sir. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
For a videotape copy of any Nevada Newsmakers program, call 775-857-2244. The tapes are $20 each, including shipping.
For more than a decade, the Southern Nevada Water Authority has been helping the community embrace conservation as a way of life. That includes replacing more than 50 million square feet of grass with water-smart landscaping. During the worst drought on record, watering restrictions and tough landscaping codes have reduced the community's water use by billions of gallons, even as thousands of new residents were moving into Nevada. That's smart water management, and that's our promise to Nevada.
My family started this business 27 years ago.
We work hard to serve our customers and our community.
But it's getting harder and harder to keep the doors open.
For example, our workers' comp is going through the roof. Isn't anyone on my side anymore?
The Retail Association of Nevada is. If you're a small business owner, we can cut your workers' comp by up to 50%, lobby for your interests, and keep you informed. Put us to work today.
Many of the materials we rely on every day come from the ground, and modern mining technology brings them to us cleaner and safer than ever before. To learn more about America's natural resources, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
Reno's best dining values are all at one casino, the Pepper Mill. You can enjoy great savings on our popular specials. Pepper Mill's coffee shop offers daily lunch specials, low-carb dining, and all your favorite comfort foods. You'll find sensational lunch specials featuring Reno's freshest seafood, sushi, pasta, and more at Oceano. And early bird specials at Reno's Premier Steakhouse and Romanza Ristorante Italiano. The best values are at the Pepper Mill. Where are you dining?
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
I think today is the day we need an analyst here on the program, and we've got one. Jeremy Aguero is Principal Analyst for Applied Analysis. Welcome to the program, Jeremy.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Hey, Jeremy, with prices hovering above $3 a gallon for gas, how is that affecting the economy in Las Vegas?
Well, generally speaking, we haven't seen a very substantial effect. I mean, certainly people are feeling the price crunch of having to pay, what's approaching $3 a gallon for gasoline. There's sort of a twofold answer to your question. One is, how is it affecting, the residents in their daily lives? And the second one is, how is it affecting the tourist trade? With regard to daily lives, of course, we're seeing prices that are inflating. Anything that has to be trucked into the valley, seeing higher prices. With regard to tourism, we haven't seen a huge effect, but you wouldn't expect to see it this quick. So we're keeping a very close eye on whether or not those coming in from Southern California, which is our principal feeder market, are going to delay a trip a year or something along those lines because prices are going up.
Well, what's the tipping point, do you think, Jeremy? Is it $4 a gallon, $5 a gallon, where suddenly you're going to see a big drop in both Northern and Southern Nevada drive-in markets?
Well, I think you're going to see, I don't think that's going to happen. And the reason being is, let's just take it into perspective. The average tourist that comes from Southern California spends just over $900 in coming here. If they have to spend an extra $50 to fill up their tank of gas of what they would have paid last year, even though that's more than they would have otherwise, that's about a 5% differential in what they're going to pay to get here. So I don't think that's going to change someone's vacation decisions. I think perhaps even more important than that is the fact that the reality is that vacations, Las Vegas may be seen as a substitute good in some cases. Instead of taking a longer trip, maybe going to Hawaii or traveling some longer distance, people view Las Vegas as being a lower cost alternative, which means that in some ways we actually have the ability to benefit when the economy has these types of bumps in the road.
I don't want to be the doom and gloom person here, but the airlines are not doing well with the price of gasoline either. Are you seeing any airlines that may go south because of this?
Certainly it has the potential to push some of the big boys that have been teetering on bankruptcy, into bankruptcy, into reorganization. Specifically, the airlines that have serviced the South. We know that the Hurricane Katrina has had some pretty serious and devastating effects on, across the board. But the transportation industry has been affected as well. So we would expect that here in Southern Nevada. I mean, we just seem to be setting record after record in terms of the volume of transportation that's coming into Southern Nevada. The demand is here, and so they keep pushing people in. I mean, the price of gasoline, barring recent events, the price of gasoline was being pushed up because there was excess demand. We've seen negative negative ramifications associated with higher petroleum costs, but that was largely because, in the past, was largely because there were supply side restrictions, right? I couldn't get gas. That's not the case today. We can still get gas. It's just there's such a high demand for it, both here and abroad, that it's putting upward pressure on the pricing.
So it's really the economic growth, and it doesn't have a lot. What we're seeing right now is more economic growth as opposed to disruptions from the hurricane.
Well, I think immediately we're certainly seeing some disruptions from the hurricane. We got some good news this morning that a number of the stations out in the Gulf Coast are going to be able to resume operations in relatively short order, but I don't think people knew that a week ago. I don't think that they knew how quickly these guys were going to be able to bring some of that production back online. But much of what we're seeing is a function of the fact that there is huge demand for petroleum out there, and it's putting upward pressure on pricings. This recent events, of course, being excluded.
Let me change topics on you here, and this was one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, was the trend that we've seen, especially in southern Nevada, but now it's occurring in northern Nevada too, of seeing these condominium projects. I mean, there are over 100 condominium projects in Las Vegas, and it seems like we're getting into the dozens in northern Nevada as well. What do you make of this?
Well, in both southern Nevada and northern Nevada, we have some land supply issues, right? We've been talking about trying to get denser, especially here in southern Nevada. There's a growing concern that land's becoming increasingly scarce, and we're still adding 100,000 new residents every single year. We've got to have somewhere to put those people, and so it's putting upward pressure on housing prices, and it's also putting a different type of upward pressure on residential construction.
Now I'll continue with the doom and gloom from Sam. We hear a lot about a housing bubble that's out there. Reno has a huge price increase. Las Vegas has a huge price increase that you just went over. Can you tell us the effect of a burst in that bubble on our Nevada economy?
Yeah, it's really interesting when you start looking at those price increases. The latest data that just came out suggested that where southern Nevada was the number 2 fastest appreciating market in the United States, we dropped all the way to 21, and I believe that Reno stayed at number 4 in the nation. So you're now accelerating at a clip faster than we are, which is sort of interesting. With regard to the bubble, Las Vegas did make the watch list for the PMI bubble. We were ranked number 24, I believe, in the nation for the most likely to see a decline in pricing. Reno did not make the list, and in the Credit Suisse First Boston similar report, Las Vegas was ranked number 2. Those national studies you have to take with a bit of a grain of salt because they don't understand exactly what's going on here. Our job market's still increasing at a clip of 7.6%. Population continues to expand, and construction's at an all-time high. That combination of things at least suggests that there's going to be substantial demand for housing, and people continue to move in from Southern California, where the cost of housing is much higher than it is here, and that continues to pump a lot of home equity right into the market. I think sometimes we forget that while we've all seen a whole lot of housing price appreciation, unprecedented, and you certainly have to be concerned with that level of increase. As a nation, we've seen between the at the end of the second quarter of 2005, the nation as a whole had a housing price increase in excess of 13%, the highest on record. And so I'm much more concerned about a national housing bubble than I am in southern Nevada.
One quick question, one quick answer, if you would, please. What are we seeing as far as working-class condominium projects and middle-class condominium projects? Because a lot of them seem to be just the high end.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's trying to skim the cream off the top. That having been said, I think within the next 12 to 18 months, you're going to see a substantial number of product coming online that's going to be trying to target the middle market. Right now, everybody's trying to go after the high-end consumer. I think that trend will slow significantly.
Jeremy Aguero, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, pleasure to talk to you.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this. That's great.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
How long does it take to get to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park? Well, it's just 10 minutes east of Reno Sparks on Highway 80, just minutes from the airport. And under construction is an interchange linking I-80 to TRI's 4-lane USA Parkway. And soon, this parkway will connect Interstate 80 to Highway 50. How far is the world's largest industrial center from your home? It's a lot closer than you think. Welcome to the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, building economic prosperity for Nevadans.
The Nevada Beer Wholesalers encourages the responsible consumption of beer. The Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association are sponsors and participants in many community-based efforts such as school education programs, safe ride home, recycling programs, alcohol-free after-prom and graduation parties, safe boating campaigns, and designated driver programs. They are family-owned businesses employing 2,000 Nevadans. They also collect and pay the state excise tax. The Nevada Beer Wholesalers Association, delivering more than just beer.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they've saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And being the news program that we are, sometimes things go wrong, and Earlene Forsythe, unfortunately, will not be able to be with us today, but she will be back on another day. But we're joined by Ernie Adler, former Assemblyman, and Paul Lamboley, who's an attorney. Welcome to both of you. Let's start out with one of the biggest stories over the weekend, if not the biggest, beyond Katrina, was the nomination by President Bush, Ernie, of John Roberts, not just to be a Supreme Court Associate Justice, but to actually be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. What are your thoughts on that?
I was sort of surprised, having been in the legal community for some time. I was surprised that he leapfrogged Scalia and some of the other people who are currently on the court. I thought that was a very interesting move, and I'm not sure what it means, quite frankly.
Well, I share Ernie's interest and surprise, because I thought of the three nominations that would be available, succeeding Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, Justice Rehnquist, Chief Justice, and then nominating Chief Justice. He had three options, and I'm surprised that, frankly, the administration chose to house both of two nominations in one person. Probably a great compliment to Mr. Roberts, but Judge Roberts, but it was surprising.
Chuck Schumer, the senior senator from New York, says that the reason President Bush nominated Roberts as Chief Justice as opposed to Scalia was because he's in a position of weakness right now, and he couldn't get Scalia confirmed as Chief Justice. What's your take on that?
I don't think that's true. I think he could, but I think it'd be a battle, and I don't think he feels right now, with his standing in the polls and stuff, that he needs that kind of a political battle in the U.S. Senate.
You know, it was interesting over the weekend. Pete Williams of NBC News, their chief legal correspondent, was saying that the Roberts nomination would go through in time for the beginning of the new Supreme Court session at the beginning of first Monday in October. But the Chief Justice nomination would take until December to get through. This kind of threw that completely into turmoil.
Well, and it's also, I don't know, Paul, maybe you can comment on this. Do you think that President Bush maybe nominated Roberts so you wouldn't have Stevens acting as the Chief Justice?
Well, that could be, but I think maybe Sam touched on it. I think the administration is very clear in wanting to have a Chief Justice in place at the start of the term. And Roberts' name is up. Hearings have been set. And to add the Chief Justice stature to the hearings gives it an imperative and perhaps an additional focus, because, frankly, the O'Connor nomination, successor to Justice O'Connor, may be more tricky than the Justice Roberts just by himself would have been. Now it's clear that we're going to have a new chief. It's also clear that Sandra Day O'Connor may stay for a while and may be a very important person on that bench, as she always has been. Very moderate, swing vote in a lot of critical issues, and that'll enhance, I think, the successor for her.
You know, the interesting thing to me over the past few days is hearing people decry certain nominees, including Roberts, for being too conservative. And saying that the president needs to put somebody in there who's a moderate. I thought the president gets to nominate whoever he wants to, whoever he thinks is the justice that that he wants on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I don't think it's a surprise to anybody who voted in the last election that if you re-elected George Bush, you were going to get this type of nominee. I don't think anybody should be surprised. They may not like it, but they shouldn't be surprised.
There was an interesting comment I thought that was made by Justice Stevens in a speech that he gave down in Las Vegas to the federal bar, talking about how people may hold personal views and what they might do with those views as a justice. And he made an observation about the eminent domain case. He said that for his part, he didn't think it was necessarily a good policy decision, but that wasn't his call. He voted in the majority to follow the law, but he said, personally, I had reservations and would do things differently were I in a different chair with different responsibilities. So I do think there is a way to separate what somebody may believe personally and how they may perform their function as a judge.
Well, that's also a way, I think, for a very liberal Supreme Court justice to kind of explain away that decision is giving companies like Walmart, who I personally love, but it's giving those companies the ability to go in and put somebody else out of business because they're going to have more tax revenue.
But I don't think that's what they were saying. I think what they were saying is this isn't our call. This is the legislatures, the state legislatures, the U.S. Congress's call. And if they want to change the rules, they're permitted to. But we're not going to make law. We're going to interpret law.
Eminent domain has always meant public use. It has never meant public benefit until the Supreme Court decision. For a road, for a school, for a fire department, eminent domain has been there. But now it's giving your land, the property that you own, to another private entity.
Look at what they did in Baltimore. That certainly wasn't just changing a few roads. They redid the whole waterfront district. So it has meant that for quite a while, I think.
Well, you can go in and declare an area as being blighted and be able to...
But the point is the legislature can change that if they want to, and I think they gave them an opportunity to do it.
And the invitations are being accepted by legislatures all across the country. And it's really a local issue. Eminent domain is a local issue. And it's the assessments to be made locally, not perhaps by a Supreme Court, but by local legislative bodies, state legislature, counties, and city governments. And I think they're going to make those decisions, and they've certainly been invited to, and I think they're following on those very well.
Well, as long as our constitutional rights are protected and my home is protected, hey.
As long as I'm all right, it's all right. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, the world's largest industrial park, the resort at Red Hawk, and the Peppermill family of casinos.
South Reno's hotspot for food, fun, and friends is the Tamarack Junction. Play over 480 of the hottest slots and video poker games. Enjoy hot times and sizzling food specials at Sully's Sports Bar, Grill, and Nightclub. Watch your favorite game on one of our jumbo high-definition plasma TVs. Enjoy great food 24 hours a day in the Dining Car Restaurant. Or sample the best hot and cold sandwiches in the Whistle Stop Deli. The Tamarack Junction is your junction for fun. South Virginia and Abadi Ranch Parkway. Yeah.
Don't forget you can watch Nevada Newsmakers online at nevadanewsmakers.com.
Tomorrow we have Senator Terry Kerr from Las Vegas and Kristen Sear, who was a political reporter but is now a partisan.
We'll see you tomorrow.